Positive Action by Karmal Jamali. Our Karachi is known for two things: the sea of salty water and the sea of human beings. In both of these seas, merchants of death wander everywhere all the time. These merchants of death become the cause of death for hundreds of people, sometimes in the form of suicide bombers, sometimes in the form of target killers, and sometimes in the form of accidents. One night, her motherly love was uneasy on that peaceful and cool evening. She glanced at her dear children. Her anguish was enhanced further seeing them writhe in anger, filling her face with a grief which burned her whole being like a fire. She was absorbed in her thoughts. She had never thought the time would commit such a cruel act and would cause her home to be submerged in sorrow and grief. Her husband was a rickshaw driver. Her whole family lived on whatever he earned. Life was going smoothly. If there were no joys in her home, there were no sorrows either. But suddenly, the situation became so bad that everything was shattered. A turn of events robbed them of everything. Her husband had died as a result of being hit by a stray bullet. Her garden turned into a desert. He, who had searched for every joy for his children, left them because of a bullet. Now, there was a heap of grief in her home. She felt as if she was living in hell. The livelihood that had made it possible to eat bread twice a day had been snatched from them. For some days after the death of her husband, meals were provided to them by their neighbors in the mohalla. This continued for a week and then it ceased. Also, the relatives did not consider helping them. She was not educated, and one of her arms was weak. She could not do any labor work. She could not think of begging at people's doors. She went out of her house in the evening, but she could not even purchase poison. She wanted to take poison and also feed it to her children. When she came back after looking for work, she heard her youngest son call her. Ammi, I am feeling very hungry. Please give me something to eat. The voice of her child forced her to think. In this state of helplessness, her eyes filled with tears. The voice of her crying infant made her even more sorrowful. She felt so helpless that she fell ill with fever, as did both of her children. At that time, the older son called to her, Ammi, I have been weeping since yesterday. I am terribly hungry. The mother continued thinking for a long time, but could not find any solution. She kept awake the whole night but lost in troubling thoughts. In the morning, the elder son said to his mother, Mummy, if my younger brother dies like our father, our neighbors will provide us with food for a week. You and I will survive for some more days. The mother began to weep, despairing at her son's thought. Just then, the headmistress of the local girls' primary school entered her house and looked closely at the children and their mother. Then she said to her, Zainab, you have not come out of the house for so many days. What is the matter? Zainab burst into tears and told the whole story to the headmistress. The headmistress began to weep upon hearing Zainab's words. She at once gave her 500 rupees and said, Hurry up and go to buy food for yourself and your children. Otherwise, they will die of hunger. From tomorrow, I shall find some job for you at the school. Zainab took the money and embraced the headmistress, and soon went out to get food. She returned with the food and first fed both her children, then she had her meal. The headmistress watched her very keenly. All of them were busy satisfying their hunger. Then the headmistress went away and asked Zainab to go to the school the next morning. The children and mother were very happy because of the money given by the headmistress. They ate food in the morning as well. After breakfast, the mother went to the school along with her children. The headmistress had Zainab employed as a peon at the school and had her children admitted to the school free of charge. In a few days, the situation at her house was set right. Finding herself happy in the sea of the human beings, she began to pray for the headmistress and said, This is our Karachi.